Hi everybody, this is Max with Enlight Automotive. Today I'm going to show you how to install our Xenon HID system for the 2009 to 2014 Dodge Ram truck. Now this installation video will be applicable to the 1500, 2500, and 3500 Dodge Ram truck models. Let's take a look at the kit that you're going to get for the 2009 to 2014 Ram trucks. So when you get the kit from Enlight, it's going to come with two of our CAN bus ballast. It's also going to come with two of our second generation ARC series HID bulbs. These are a really nice set of Xenon HID bulbs. This is going to come in a 6000K color temperature. It's just a pure white. It's got no color tint to it. And again, this is our second generation bulb. And you can see that it's got a nice, it's got an arc in the chamber there. And that prevents the light rays from refracting as they exit the arc chamber. And also the second generation bulb has a really quick startup time relative to the first generation. And also they are about 20% brighter than the first generation, which is also very nice. So you're going to get 3000 lumens in a 6000K bulb, which is pretty rare. You'll see a lot of companies advertising, oh, you know, kits are 3000 lumens, etc. But that's usually in a 4300K color temperature, and typically 6000K HID kits are around 24 to 2500 lumens. So 3000 lumens in 6000K, awesome. And also you're going to get some zip ties and mounting brackets and bolts for the ballast. You'll see here that this particular model has the projector style headlights. Now the Ram is offered with two different headlight options. One of them is a projector style, which you see here. The other one is a reflector style. The installation is going to be the same for both. The only difference is that this one uses a different bulb than the reflector type. Now to start the installation, you're going to pull the hood latch inside the car, and then right about in the center of the hood here, a little bit off to the right of the center, there's a lever in here that you're going to push over to the left or towards the passenger side of the vehicle and then lift up. This will open the hood and the installation will begin from here. Now to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to take out this radiator trim piece here that goes on, that's on top, and the way to do that is to remove all of these plastic clips here. And to do that, you're going to need some type of pry bar tool that looks like this. You want to make sure that it's got a slot on it. You can use a flathead screwdriver, but it can be more difficult to do. And also, these things are prone to breaking. They're not the greatest design. I don't know why Dodge continues to use these. But if you have a good tool like this, or you have a panel pop, that will be the ideal tool to get these out without breaking them. Now, the way to get these out is just slide your tool under here like that, and then just wiggle them up and pull. And then sometimes once you loosen it up like this, you can just grab underneath the actual trim piece and then pull up, and you can loosen it just like that. So this one's loose here now, and then you just want to continue to go around to all of these clips, slide your tool under there, and then work them up just like that. Once you've got all 7 of these clips loosened, and again, you don't necessarily have to take them all the way out, but you can put your fingers under here or put your pry tool under here and actually lift up, and sometimes that can help get these clips out here. And once you've got all 6 of them out, this whole thing will just lift off gently, and then you can set it aside. Now what you want to do is go over to either the passenger or driver's side wheel well and look underneath, and you're going to find that there's this plastic cap here. And in order to remove this plastic cap, there's a little plastic clip down here. Just take a flathead screwdriver, or again like a pry tool or a panel pop, and insert it in between, if we can see this, insert it in between the top part of the plastic clip and the bottom part, and just gently twist and trying to get some space between them, and then usually you can pull this out with your fingers. Once you get it loose, it'll come out like that. Now inside of this flap here, you can see that there is a white lever, and what you're going to do is you're going to reach your hand in there, and you're going to secure that white, or you're going to loosen that white lever by pushing up. You can see that I just pushed it up there with my fingers. That allows you to take the actual headlight housing out. And you're going to do this on both sides of the vehicle. Now for the next step, we need to loosen the front grille. That way we can access bolts to remove the actual headlight housing. And to do that, you're just going to need a 10mm socket, and there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. Take all of those out, and then we'll move on to the clips. Once you've got all 4 bolts taken out, now you can see that this is a little loose here, and the rest of the grille is held in by plastic clips. So if you see in here, I'm going to insert a flathead screwdriver in between this plastic piece and the grille, which is right there, and then just gently pry out until you hear the clip pop. And then you're going to go over to the other side and do the same thing. Again, here now we're on the passenger side. Hopefully you can see the gap where you put the screwdriver, and then just gently pry out until the grill pops out like that. Now there are a couple more clips that are on the bottom of the grill. You actually don't need to take those out if you don't want to. What we're going to do is we're going to use a long extension to access that silver bolt right there where my finger is. We're going to loosen that one, and we're also going to loosen this one here on both the passenger and the driver's side, and that will allow you to take out the entire headlight housing. Now to take out the actual headlights, you can see that I've got this long extension. I've taken a long length extension and a short length extension with a deep 10mm socket. And what we're going to do here is loosen that bolt down in there. You can see that. So use this to loosen the bolt. It is a pretty long bolt, so if you're doing this with a manual socket wrench, then it might take a little while. And then also we're going to do the same thing to remove that bolt right there. Once you've removed this bolt here, and you've loosened the bolt on the bottom all the way, what you can do is just lean the grill forward a little bit, reach your arm down into the bottom, and then get your 2 fingers around the bolt and then just lift it up, just like that. And now we can take out the entire headlight housing. Now to remove the whole headlight housing, what you want to do is you want to take one hand, put your fingers up here, there's a little ridge, and then take your other hand and just get your fingers in the ridge on the side here, and you're going to pull the whole headlight housing out towards the front of the vehicle. So once you get it to pop out, you'll hear a little kind of thud when it comes out. What you want to do is lift out this corner first. Just push it forward, lift this corner out first, and then you can take the headlight out in this direction. Now once you've got the headlight out about this far, come around to the back side, and you're going to see that there is a cable plugged into the back of the housing, which looks like this. Now, there's a tab. You can see that here. There's a tab on the top of this connector here, and what you want to do is you want to push the tab back away from the headlight housing, and this can be a little tricky to do, but you want to push it back, and at the same time you want to apply pressure to the connector. I can't do this with one hand right now, but you can also use a flathead screwdriver and insert it where my finger is. And again, you want to push the tab that's there back, and you want to pull on the connector at the same time. This will allow you to remove the connector from the headlight. Now, in order to actually access the bulb that's in here, we need to remove this plastic cap that's on the back. And you can see that there are a couple of bolts here. You want to take those out, and then this cap will come off. Now, once you've got the cap off here, this here will be where the low beam bulb is located. The high beam is also in there, so if you are installing HID high beams, the installation is going to be exactly the same, except for this will be the high beam bulb in here, where my finger is. Now, to remove this bulb, we're just going to do the low beams here today. Just lift up on this gray tab gently. Don't pull too hard or else you'll break the tab. Disconnect this one, and then twist the bulb counterclockwise, and then slide it out just like that. Now, before we actually put the HID bulb into the socket where we just took out the factory bulb, what we need to do is to prepare the headlight cap and the bulb harness. We actually need to feed a couple wires through the factory headlight cap, and to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to drill a 25mm diameter hole in this region here, and to do that you can either use a spade bit or I have a stepper bit here. And so kind of find the center location of this headlight cap and then drill a hole there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to feed the bulb harness through and use this blue rubber grommet to put one side of the grommet on this back side of the cap, and then another side will sit on the inside, and this will seal the hole. Now once you've got the hole drilled, you can see I've drilled the hole in the cap here. You want to feed in this end of the bulb harness with the two blue connectors and the black connectors. Make sure you feed it from the inside to the outside, and then push it through like this, and then you're gonna basically wedge the headlight cap in between both halves of the rubber grommet. So once you've got that part done, it should look just like this. And this will be exactly the same for both the passenger and the driver side. Now at this point you can remove the protective cover that's on the bulb, and now we'll take the 3 tabs that are there and line it up with the 3 openings in the headlight socket. So one of these tabs is larger, which is where my index finger is here. That will start out by aligning at the bottom. So get that one lined up, and then you can see that it's in there, and once you get it in, twist it clockwise to lock it in place. And make sure that it's nice and snug. Just like that. Now the next step is to take this gray connector here, which is the factory power connector for the headlight bulb, and we're going to plug it into this black one. Now the polarity of this is important because eventually what this will do is power the ballast, the HID ballast, and if the orientation of this connection here is wrong, the ballast will not come on. Now typically the blue wire here will be the 12-volt positive and the black wire will be the ground. That might not always be the case, so just know that if you hook everything up in the end and the lights don't turn on, you might need to flip around this connection 180 degrees. So what I'm going to do is orient this connector so that the red wire is lined up with the blue wire and the black wire is lined up with the silver wire on this harness here. Now once you've got this done, basically what you want to do is you want to tuck away the wires in here and then reinstall the headlight cap, and then put all of the bolts back in to seal everything back up. So before we put the headlight housing back into the vehicle, the next step is to prepare the HID ballast, and we're going to do that by mounting the brackets to the ballast, and then we'll mount the ballast inside the vehicle. Now there's more than one way to do this, but I'm just going to pick one particular location for each side of the vehicle and one particular orientation. You can reverse these brackets to the right side or the left side of the ballast, and you can choose whatever mounting location you believe is suitable as long as it's away from moving parts and any significant heat sources. But what you're going to do is take the brackets and then use the supplied bolts and put a washer in between the bolt and the bracket, and then tighten them down in the configuration that you find most appropriate. Now on the driver's side of the vehicle, the location that I'm going to choose to mount the ballast is this bolt right here. So if you can kind of see where I am here, here's the windshield wiper reservoir, and I come down and then there's a bolt right here. I'm going to take this bolt out, and basically the ballast is going to hang in this region. There's plenty of space here. I'm going to tighten the bolt back in to secure the bracket in that location. Here you can see how I've mounted the ballast here. I just tighten the bolt back down. Now there's a little bit of flex in the bracket. I don't like that flex, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the supplied zip ties and wrap the zip ties around this black support brace here where my fingers are. Wrap it all the way around and then hold the ballast firmly against that support. And you can connect the supplied zip ties together by doing this. That way you can make them larger. There you see I've taken 2 zip ties, connected them together, and then wrapped it around the support brace there. Now the ballast is firm and solid and it doesn't move anywhere. That's exactly what you want. Once you've got the ballast mounted, the next step that you're going to want to do is to secure the ballast wires and also the filter so that things aren't flopping around. Now you can do that with the supply zip ties. So you can use the factory harness, which is what I'm tracing out here with my fingers, and you can use the zip ties to secure it to the factory harness. So make sure you secure the filter, which is where my finger is, and also make sure that you get the igniter, which has these two cables coming out of it. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take zip ties and secure them to the factory harness like that. Now before we actually put the headlight housing back in, there's a couple of connections that we got to make. Coming off the outside of the headlight cap, or the back of the headlight cap, you're going to want to take these two black cables coming from the HID ballast, these are the high voltage output of the ballast, and plug it into these two connectors on the back of the bulb harness. And the other connection that we're going to make is the ballast power connector. Now the key thing to remember here is that the ballasts are polar. That means they are sensitive to electrical polarity. Hopefully you can see that there is a plus and a minus on this connector, and regardless of what these wire colors are, you just need to make sure that you have 12 volt plus or positive going into the positive side of the ballast. If it's reversed, then the ballast will not come on. If you remember a little bit earlier, when we were putting the HID bulb inside of the housing, there was a gray connector, and we talked about the orientation of that connector. So when you plug this in, and if you turn everything on, it doesn't come up, just go back inside the headlight housing and then flip around the gray connector. So once you make these two connections, you can go ahead and put this connector back onto the headlight housing and gently put the headlight housing back into position. Now once you get the headlight housing back into position, I haven't pushed it all the way back yet, but when you do this, you want to tuck in this corner of the headlight housing first, get it fed around the grill, and then take this corner in and then tuck it in. And you can see that there's still a big gap here. That's because I haven't pushed it in. And then what you want to do is get everything lined up and then push straight back just like that, and you hear it click in place. Now after you made those connections, you'll see that there's an extra ground wire coming off the filter of the HID ballast. So there's the ballast that we just mounted in there, and here's the extra ground cable. Now this needs to be connected to a factory ground location, which conveniently is right here on this Ram 1500. And so what you're going to do is you're going to loosen this bolt with the 10mm socket, and I'm going to use a cutting tool, and I'm basically just going to turn this into a U-ring terminal instead of a circular ring terminal, and that way you can just slide the terminal and then tighten in the bolt there. Here you can see that I've cut away the top part of the ring terminal, and this just makes it really easy to slide the ring terminal under the bolt there, and then take your 10mm socket and tighten it down. Now once you get everything connected, you want to test the headlights, so go inside the vehicle and turn them into the on position by turning the knob inside all the way to the right hand side, or all the way clockwise. Here you can see we got a beautiful crystal white light, and the HIDs are working here on the driver's side, and we will now put the bolts back in to secure the headlight housing. Now just to reverse the installation procedure that we just went over to put everything back together, make sure you put this bolt in, tighten it down, and then also use your long extension to put the bolt there on the bottom. And just for reference, now what you're going to do is you're going to reach your hand in, and you're going to push the tab down just like that to lock it in place, and that's it. Now put the flap back and take your plastic clip and secure it back into place. Now the passenger side installation is exactly the same as the driver's side in terms of removing the headlight, the way the headlight comes out, the bolt locations, etc. So do everything exactly the same for the passenger side. The only difference now is how we're going to mount the ballasts. Here you can see I've got the passenger side headlight all ready to go. I took the cap off, put the bulb in, got a hole drilled there in the headlight cap and fed everything through just like the driver's side. Now we're going to go put the ballast in on the passenger side. Now to mount the ballast on the passenger side of the vehicle, we're going to do a little differently. It's a little bit less convenient than the driver's side. So I did reverse the orientation of this bracket here, so now you can see the bracket is on the right side of the ballast instead of the left like the other one. And I've bent it 90 degrees, and then what we're going to do is, you're going to see this opening in the plastic support brace here, and we're going to use a combination of zip ties and kind of a clamping mechanism with this bracket. So you feed it under like that. Again, you don't have to do it this way. This is just one way to do it. Then you can take your thumb and then bend the bracket all the way around. There's a little ridge back here where my finger is. So you can bend the bracket all the way around to that ridge. And then that acts as a little clamping mechanism. Now what you want to do, again, is take zip ties and then wrap them around this plastic support here so that it doesn't move around. So there you can see the ballast has been mounted and it's been secured with a zip tie. Again, you can put 2 zip ties together in order to extend the length for which you can encircle the ballast with. So it's nice and secure, it doesn't move around, and it's nice and tight. That's what you want. So here on the passenger side, we still need to make sure that we mount all the cables coming out of the ballast, or secure them. So you can use the factory harness as a mounting location. Just use the zip ties and secure down the filter so it's not flopping around. And also make sure that you want to feed this ground wire coming off the filter in between the plastic piece here on the left and the metal support here on the right. And there's a little crack that you can feed it through. That comes to the engine bay, out to the engine bay. So you can see right there is where it comes out. And we're going to use this factory air conditioning line mount as a ground. So it doesn't look like an optimal ground, but when the bolt is actually in the hole, there is a connection to ground there. I tested it with a multimeter. So here you can see that I took the bolt out, fed the ring terminal on, and now what you just want to do is just tighten it up. Here on the passenger side, again, just make sure you make the connection between the output side of the ballast, those connectors there, those two, and then also plug the braided cable into the input side of the ballast, and that's it. Then you can go ahead and put the housing back into the vehicle. So once you've got the headlight housing back in, just make sure you put the bolts back just in the reverse way that you took them out, tighten those down. Now make sure you put the grill back here. So you want to get the clips lined up, push them in on both sides. There's 1, there's 2, push it in, and then take your 4 bolts, 2, 3, and 4, and put all those back in. Just one more thing to pay attention to. When you're putting the grill back on, there are 2 different types of bolts. The one that looks like this, which has the finer thread, that goes into the metal core support, and the coarse thread pitch goes into the plastic support on the outside. Once you put the headlight housing back in on the passenger side, again, go in here in this back flap and secure that white lever or the white tab by pushing it down and locking it into place. Now the last step is to take this radiator trim piece here. Make sure you just put everything back the way that you found it. Push in all the tabs. All you got to do is line them up in the holes, push in and secure everything back into place. And that's it. Close the hood and you're done. You can see we got a nice crystal white 6000K light. These are going to be about 250% brighter than your stock halogen bulbs. If you'd like to purchase this kit, you can go to www.enlightauto.com, go to the Browse By Vehicle section, and look up the Dodge Ram 1500, 2500, or 3500 pickups. We do have kits for both the projector style and the reflector style headlights.